Welcome to the project. Tonight, it's a rite of passage for most school kids why the Great Aussie Swimming Carnival could be on the way out.
Plus, Peter Dutton wants a referendum on whether the government should be able to deport dual citizens. So would you be behind it?
Plus, she's a legend of the British panel show. Comedian Sara Pascoe drops by for a laugh.
And this is crazy. We speak to the Aussie woman struck by lightning inside her own home. Shocked? So is she.
We're live from Lands of the Cooler Nation tonight with Kate Langbrook.
It's already electric.
It is. Oh, we're on fire.
All right, let's get into tonight's top stories. And after less than 2 months, the fragile ceasefire in Gaza is over after Israel launched a series of deadly airstrikes across the enclave. There are reports at least 330 people are dead, including women and children that have been killed. Israel says the attacks were launched because Hamas rejected US ceasefire proposals and repeatedly refused to release further hostages.
Let me be very clear. Israel will not stop until all of our hostages are back home.
A horrendous day for the parents of Lily James. They've heard that Dutch national Paul Tyson rehearsed the 21-year-old's murder, which was described as calculated, premeditated overkill. An inquest was also told those dry runs were captured by security cameras at the school where they both worked. She called off their casual relationship. Tyson took his own life after fatally bashing Lily with a hammer in a school bathroom.
And in other news, the moment has finally arrived for stranded NASA astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore. They are on their way home after, aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule after 9 months on the International Space Station.
Undocking confirmed. Freedom is free of its moorings. Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore begin their belated trip home.
Separation confirmed.
They launched last June for a trip that was supposed to last a week. They're expected to splash down off Florida's coast tomorrow morning. They're home, thanks to Elon.
Who thought this wasn't going to happen?
I mean...
No. Once Elon said it was going to happen, he knows how to do that, doesn't he?
Wait till they get back and find out Neighbours has been cancelled. Send me back up. Yeah. But cancelled again. It was probably... Anyway, now, as we know, guys, we all know this. Melbourne is famous for two things, footy and fire bombings. All right, and I wasn't shocked to hear that someone lit up a kebab joint overnight. Look at that, this is crazy. Naturally, this resident is pretty upset.
I thought it sounded more like a gas explosion or something. Well, I don't know. What are the detectives saying anyway? Is it like targeted? Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, shit. That would have been, that's pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Pretty
Never
bad.
a truer word has been spoken there. And our mate, he didn't stop there. He had more. He's got a theory. And if the police are watching, you better take notice of this.
Are you surprised the kebab shop was targeted?
Well, no, I don't think it was because it was like the kebab. I don't know anything about that. Looks like the kebab shop got kebabbed.
Hey, the kebab shop got kebabbed. And now, thanks to that guy, the project is getting projected. That's gone viral, I can tell.
Okay. Someone must have thought they had vapes in the kebab shop.
The double of the vape.
It is an institution that either thrills or terrifies students everywhere. Schools' swimming competitions. Now, a new report shows they could be in danger of extinction.
The heady smell of chlorine, the chorus of cheering schoolmates. Love it or hate it, the swimming carnival is a huge part of many Aussie childhoods.
I love the spirit and how everyone just gives it a go.
I guess I just love the adrenaline.
Cheering each other on.
Engage with your friends.
These events really help kids feel safe around the water.
But new research shows a quarter of schools across the country no longer hold swimming carnivals. And for those that do, around half of eligible students don't take part.
Many of them don't go to the school carnivals. Then there's less numbers at school carnivals, so school principals are cancelling carnivals as well. It's just got a self-perpetuating effect.
The main reason for the dive? According to schools, it's the low swimming skills of students.
Somewhat staggeringly, we found that about 46 to 48% of children leaving Year 6 are unable to swim 50 metres or float for 2 minutes, which is a basic national swimming benchmark. Children's swimming skills are probably worse than they've ever been.
But the decision to ditch the carnivals as well as regular lessons could be contributing to that lack of skill. When the swimming competitions first emerged around 1902, Townsville Grammar School records show by year's end, every boy but one was able to swim.
We're a country surrounded by water, and, you know, I think it's really important that skills are given to children at such a young age.
It's one of the few sports that can save your life, and it's fantastic to have events like this still.
That more than a century-old tradition is now under threat, along with our water safety skills.
Last summer we had 104 drownings across the summer period. That was a massive 15% increase on the 5-year average.
It's hard for families in these difficult times to access swimming.
It's just so important as a parent to know that they can swim and they can get to the side of the pool if needed.
I think it is sad that there's going to be, you know, a generation of students that can't swim and they can't go to the beach and hang out with their friends and swim safely.
Joining us now is gold medal winning legend Lethal Liesl Jones. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Liesl, and say that you quite enjoyed the school swimming carnival. Am I right?
Oh, I didn't mind it because I could clean up. Let's just say I preferred the swimming carnival than the athletics carnival, where I never participated. I actually got a letter to get out of athletics carnival. But the swimming carnival was a bit of a love-hate relationship for me because I would always be training in the morning or the afternoon after that session. I was just tired and just didn't want to go in the middle. So I did love it because I did clean up, and I got a lot of house points for McKillop House at my school, so I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, tired from carrying all those gold medals, Liesl. You know, you must have dominated, obviously, given you went to the Olympics at 15. But what is this next generation of kids missing out on? What was the best part of Swimming Carnival other than the gold?
Oh, it was the best part. I loved my school swimming carnival in the way that these kids are going to be missing out on so much. There's nothing like the stress of possibly missing your 50-metre backstroke final because you were at the canteen getting hot chips, which I might have done in my time. But it's like a character-building event. It's not about being the best at everything. It's about having fun with it. And I think that's the best thing about the school swimming carnivals is having fun. And we've got to bring that back into the competition because it's not all about winning. I know we like to think it is, but it is about having fun, and they're missing out on so much of that. It's character building. You have to do sometimes things that you're not very good at.
Well, swimming carnivals aside, like, why aren't we doing school swimming lessons anymore?
I think there's a few factors that are actually in that, and there is a very serious side to all of this in terms of the school swimming carnivals being cancelled, but also the skills of not being able to swim a full 50 metres or float for 2 minutes. It's pretty scary, but I think there's a few factors. I think COVID played a really big role in all of that because a lot of the swim centres were actually shut for a very long period of time. Then there's also too, I think a factor that's playing into it is the cost of living. Swimming lessons are very expensive, and we know that. And when it comes to putting food on the table or perhaps participating in a swimming lesson, I know which one parents are going to go for. So look, there is a really serious side to this, but we do need to make sure that our governments, I know the Queensland government funds a lot. In 2022, it funded $3.3 million into state and special schools, and 99% of them actually took it up. So we know it's about getting safety in the water and learning about that, but there is also an element of funding because in a cost of living crisis, we know what goes first.
Lethal, quick one. A friend of mine, his name, it's not important. He wears floaties under his rash shirt whenever he goes to the pool, like even walking in case he falls in. Does he still have to learn how to swim?
Yes, he absolutely does.
Okay.
I think it is very important because you just don't look that cool with floaties on the side of the pool. You can wear fins. That's always a great one that can get you by if you need to.
Oh, yeah, that looks cool.
Fins, yeah, you can get some good. That'll make you go faster, but your floaties, nah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant a fake fin on my back like a shark. Sorry.
You can do that if you want to. Actually, that'll scare everyone out of the pool. So there you go. You won't have to worry about what you look like.
He sounds like a real joker.
He's a great guy.
We'll free you from this. Thank you very much.
He's a great guy. He sounds very fun.
It's time for a break. We'll see you very soon. Welcome back to the project.
Imagine finding out your partner wants a prenup while you're recording a podcast.
Ooh,
that is what happened to this American couple.
You know, I wouldn't even consider it sexually. She might have more money than me too.
Absolutely, I would. I have kids. I have kids. Whatever we get together, it's different. Whatever I have from before belongs to my kids. I mean, respectfully, that's just the way it is.
Wow.
This is interesting.
we didn't show the bit where he turned and went, "You have kids?"
I don't know much about prenups, but once I was in a relationship with a man called Rupert Murdoch. He wanted one, I didn't, and that's why it didn't work out.
What happened?
Yeah, we just had to go our separate ways.
How did he get on?
He's fine.
He's okay.
He's worked out for him. I'm here.
It's a hard conversation to have, right? Because you kind of go into a relationship, you're both in love, you don't think it's going to end, and it just seems so transactional to discuss that sort of stuff. But you have to be pragmatic about these things. I think you've got to do.
Do you think it's different at different stages? So they strike me. I assume they've had partners before, and
because he didn't know that she had
I feel like
kids.
that's a much easier conversation to have than when it's your first marriage or your first relationship.
Well, if you're building something together.
Yes.
Totally.
But if you come in and you want to hang on to what was yours, I still don't really understand. I should find out about it. Given my husband's expression over breakfast most mornings, I should find out what happens in the event of a breakup. What? Do you know what I mean?
That's not going to happen to you and Peter Allen Lewis.
Yeah, you know. But I don't understand what happens if you come into a relationship, if you do keep, like she said, what you already had as yours.
Well, in the absence of a prenup, then obviously the courts take over. I'll give you some advice.
So those guys are podcasters. They've probably got nothing to split anyway. So
True. Now, as the conflict resumes in Gaza, let's see what else is making news around the world.
Donald Trump will talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin tonight about a Ukraine peace deal. Division of assets is on the agenda, including, most likely, the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant on the Ukraine-Russian border.
We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
Canada's new PM, Mark Carney, has snubbed the US by choosing Europe and the UK for his first foreign tour. He visited Paris and then London, where he had an audience with King Charles. And Carney again rubbished the idea of Canada becoming America's 51st state.
We've called out those comments. They're disrespectful, they're not helpful, and they need to stop.
And if the Princess of Wales gets her way, she'll be paying Australia another visit. Speaking to an Aussie reservist at the Irish Guards St Patrick's Day event in London, Kate also revealed she wants to bring the kids.
Nice you done that. Absolutely.
She and William last visited in 2014 with 8-month-old Prince George, who is said to be fascinated by Australia.
Yes.
Do you reckon she's angling to get on the $5 note since Charles has been the Queen and Charles
there's a
kicked off?
vacancy.
Yes, it's just a design now.
Is it?
The new one, yeah.
I'd like to see baby Chubby Bobby on
Which
there.
one? Baby Chubby.
Chubby.
What's his name? George.
Given you've just done this on national TV,
Oh, so
won't
yummy.
be coming anywhere near you.
Cancel the
trip.
All right, we'll project after this. See you soon. Now to an incredible story of survival. The South Australian woman cannot believe how lucky she is to survive a lightning strike in her home a week ago. Sarah Eccles-Smith was shocked as she turned off a light during an intense storm. The lightning bolt had travelled through the power lines to her house, then to her arm.
Well, fortunately, Sara Eccles-Smith is here to tell us the tale. Sarah, this is wild, quite literally shocking. Can you take us through what happened?
So I was literally just on the way to bed, end of a big weekend, and hit the switch and just got shocked. I mean, the lightning, the storm itself was pretty intense, and I was looking forward to getting into bed to sort of listen to it and snuggle in, but that wasn't to happen. So sort of it was crazy.
How did it feel?
Shocking. Sorry, I've been full of those puns all week. No, it was pretty like it literally shocked me, froze me. My arm lit up like a Christmas tree.
What? Really?
And I literally I could see my whole arm. It was insane. Dropped to the ground. It floored me, and then I just was shaking like a leaf.
And do you now have
crazy.
superpowers?
Great question.
Look, I wish I could say that I did, but unfortunately, no. So, yeah, no, although, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I haven't found them yet.
Well, luckily you weren't home alone. And what did your partner do?
Well, I had to wake him up. I couldn't hear the blood-curdling screams. He'd had a few drinks and he was in quite a solid slumber. And I literally had to shake him awake to say that I'd been electrocuted, and I don't think he still grasped that whole concept for
That's
a good
probably
while
fair
after.
enough, to be honest.
Yeah, like I was shaking him, saying like I've been electrocuted, like shaking myself, and he's like, the power's gone out. I'm like, I know, I did that. So, yeah, that was me.
Oh, wow, Sarah.
Yeah.
Now, how are you feeling now, though? Are you still feeling the effects, or are you charging your phone randomly every time you pick it up?
Yeah, again, I wish I could say that I had that superpower because that would be amazing. Just sore arm, like up through my shoulder, and like pulsing sensation every now and then. And the other day I had the shakes for about an hour. It was like this for like an hour for no reason at all. And yeah, then it just disappeared. So apart from that, I've been fine. It's quite bizarre.
Well, not only fine, but in fact you're incredibly lucky.
Yes.
Have you used the newfound luck on anything?
Well, look, I think I ran out of luck the second that happened because I survived. So the following day I went to the lotto place and I was going to buy a lotto ticket, but I got a scratchy that had like little lightning bolts on it. Did not win anything, so fairly certain all luck has been used forever. So, yeah. Like lucky to be here, and lucky So
what a story to tell at the pub,
really.
right? Amazing.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know that many people would really believe it, but it's I don't know. I've been talking about it all week, so I'm a little bit over it, to be honest.
All right, well, I guess you better wind this interview up. Thanks very much, Sarah.
I guess you're pretty bored. You got struck by lightning.
Very relaxed for someone who's been struck by lightning.
I guess what
Who's
you've
been
been through
thunderstruck, if you will.
And she better get used to it because that is all people are going to talk to her about for the rest of her life.
Indeed. All right, still ahead. She's an icon on the British Panel Show. Award-winning comedian, writer, actor Sara Pascoe. Let's play the rest of it.
Let's get some more news now, and reports tonight that at least 330 people have been killed after Israel launched extensive airstrikes across Gaza. The region's fragile ceasefire shattered, with Israel blaming Hamas for rejecting fresh US truce proposals and repeatedly refusing to release more hostages. Israel's UN ambassador says the attacks will continue until all the hostages are freed. And Israel hasn't only targeted Gaza, there are also reports of strikes on southern Lebanon and in Syria.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers has ridiculed Peter Dutton's plan to give pollies the power to deport dual citizens who commit serious crimes. The opposition leader is pushing the idea of a referendum if he wins the next election, despite a 2022, or perhaps because of a 2022 High Court ruling that found citizenship stripping unconstitutional.
If we believe that we want to keep people safe, if you want to keep your kids safe and we want to keep kids safe in our community, then I don't think you can put a price on that.
Do you really think that after what happened with The Voice...
Which he was quite critical of as well.
Sure.
Very critical.
That any politician is going to bat up the idea of a referendum?
Yeah.
That seems crazy, doesn't it?
Well, he has, so yes.
But it's so politically damaging if you lose, right?
Yeah, it is, and mostly you do lose.
Yeah.
But I guess in some ways, politically, so forget about the policy side of it, politically, what a referendum does is get the conversation onto a thing that you want to talk about. And The Voice sort of started out that way, and then it kind of got abandoned, and that's one of the reasons it fell over.
Yeah, but it's a very expensive conversation for the Australian people.
Sure, I understand that. But if you're just talking about it politically, I can well imagine that Peter Dutton would say, yeah, I want to talk about crime. for
yes.
18 months.
Yes.
And then that's a very... Now, as to whether or not he should, or that's a totally separate question. And he could be open to attack on money, but you heard his response on money. Oh, safety's worth it. And then it's just a question of whether you buy it.
Was he specifically speaking about dual citizens who are convicted of terrorism offences? This is what it was in relation to, not just if you rob a bank or whatever. It was something a bit more existential.
But who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in that context he sort of mentioned it, but we're in this weird deporting phase. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Yeah, we want to deport everyone all the time.
Yes.
Like the Wombat
Girls.
And it's come up a lot with protesters, all these sorts of things. And I guess what the theory is, well, if you're a dual citizen, you're not a real Australian anyway, so let's just get rid of you.
Well, actually, Kate sat down with the one Peter Dutton and the Prime Minister for
what's
a bit
your
of an
citizenship
intimate
status,
chat.
Kate?
No,
Kate.
well, now I'm just an Australian citizen. Good luck deporting me.
We're stuck with ya, and we love it. All right, moving on now. And burn the system down and start again. That's one conclusion from a groundbreaking new read into domestic abuse. It suggests we're going about prevention all wrong, and unless we flip the script, we'll never stop the violence.
All violence against women begins with disrespecting women.
It was 2015 when Change the Story, a world-first plan to end violence against women, first launched. The strategy?
Investment in education programs around respectful relationships and gender equality, as well as large-scale national media campaigns.
10 years on, the problem is worse than ever.
We're just not seeing the reductions in violence against women that we should be seeing if these were effective strategies.
Over the past 9 years, domestic violence call-outs have almost doubled to 10,000 a week. That's one every minute. DV-related sexual assaults have increased by 78% since 2014. And in the past 14 months alone, more than 120 women and children have been killed.
There's no excuse for violent men!
Now, in a new quarterly essay, anti-domestic violence campaigner and author Jess Hill is calling for a drastic shake-up, arguing that for too long our strategy has shamed and alienated men. Hill claims ads like that can actually increase violence, instead urging an approach which includes men in the conversation.
Your childhood trauma wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. But your healing now is your responsibility.
The other key factors she says have been ignored: alcohol and gambling, both proven to escalate domestic violence.
Alcohol obviously disinhibits people, it increases aggression. Gambling increases stress and anxiety and financial strain. That's also increasing men's violence.
But the biggest problem with our prevention strategy? A lack of focus on supporting child victims of domestic violence.
If we want to break that generational link, then we need early investment in family support.
Underneath it all, we're all just hurt little boys who have been cut as children and are now standing here as adults bleeding to death over women and children who never cut them.
And Jess Hill is here to tell us more. Jess, this is a totally different way of looking at domestic violence. Some would argue that it's controversial to focus the help towards the violent men who commit these acts, but why do you think it's so important?
Well, I guess, yes, it's help for violent men, but it's help for violent men when they're still boys, which is kind of key to the whole issue. I think that we are missing the boat on helping children and young people recover from harm when they've lived with family and domestic violence, lived with coercive control, been sexually abused themselves, been exposed to really, intense shaming experiences. There are so many points of intervention that we could be making, both for them and for their victimised parent, to make sure that they don't end up on a trajectory towards being re-victimised or becoming perpetrators of violence themselves.
Well, part of the solution, as you said, is helping the child victims of abuse. But how would that look?
Oh my God, so many different ways that could be done. When a victim parent leaves with their children, making sure that the children are responded to as victims in their own right, not just extensions of their victim parent. But also, as you get older, you have children maybe who've been exposed to family violence and other forms of abuse who maybe start using violence in the home often against their victim parent, who may be a single mother, for example. We should be intervening earlier with them. Then you get around from the age of 12 onwards, you start seeing child victim survivors fleeing their homes, not accompanied by a protective parent, there is literally no response for them. Until they turn 18, family violence refuges don't accept them. And then you've got adolescents who are in intimate partner violence situations. Both for the victims of that intimate partner violence, there is virtually no response when they're under 18. For the perpetrators, it's like, we don't have a program for you, but if you're over 10, we can put you in jail. So the sparsity of responses for children and young people is quite astonishing. It's like we've created a complete state of neglect.
And there's a real science behind this, isn't there? I mean, that children growing up in traumatic households can actually have the chemistry in their brain changed, which can lead to more violent outcomes down the track.
It can do. And remembering that a lot of young boys who grow up in these circumstances will do everything that they can to avoid using violence themselves. And many young boys who are the sweetest and most incredible, grow up to be the sweetest and most incredible young men, they are, often so frightened that the violence is somehow latent in their DNA. But what you have when you grow up in a situation of power and control, or where you are feeling completely powerless, is you get a brain that becomes hyper-attuned to threat, and one that, if you get a complex trauma response, you're expecting betrayal. And so some people's response to that is that they need to have power and control over their immediate environment, and particularly over their close attachment relationships, like an intimate relationship. And that's where you can start to see those sexually, physically, emotionally violent behaviours emerge, and particularly coercive control, where you seek to control every element of that intimate partnership.
Yeah, it's a fascinating essay. Jess, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We're off to a break. See you soon.
Guys, today, Victorian Liberal MP and Prince of Cool Michael O'Brien, he launched a catchy new slogan to whack the state government over bail law reform, and it went great. Absolutely no notes.
That's the funny thing. I've never seen a government try and put a slogan into the title of an act before. This is the bail amendment, quote, tough bail bill. Goodness me. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't call it the bail amendment, really, really, really tough bail bill.
Oh, Michael, speaking of bail, not too late to bail on politics, mate. Think about that.
Oh, that's good.
I'm fighting truth to power.
To more news now. In the wake of the Bondi Junction attack, Westfield is rolling out body-worn cameras to all of its guards following a security vest upgrade last year. Civil libertarians argue the technology will do little to protect shoppers. It's understood the footage will only be shared with police if it's needed for an investigation.
Westfield has refused to say how long they're going to be keeping this information for, how they're going to be storing it.
Climate change protesters have crashed Jim Chalmers' pre-budget address at the Queensland Media Club today. Once they were evicted, the Treasurer got down to business, promising more cost of living help. But rather than revealing details, he voiced concerns about global pressures on the economy.
The indirect GDP impacts of a trade war could be up to 4 times larger than the direct impacts of tariffs on our own economy.
Oh my God, guys, these tariffs, they're a hot mess. And after stiffing us with steel, there's now talk of whacking tariffs on Aussie beef. I know, in diplomacy terms, it's a classic beef. And in my political opinion, it's going off like a stroganoff. So it's all happening. Here's the thing, though, about the USA and Aussie beef.
Most of it goes into McDonald's hamburgers, and if you push up the price by 25%, then you simply push up the price of hamburgers in the United States. It doesn't make any sense.
Hear that? America, Macca's price hikes. You're going to get hit where it hurts, right in the patties. It's enough to make you grimace. I mean, look at that weird coloured freak. And a grimace is there as well, by the way. That's amazing. Anyway, America, it sounds like your man in charge wants a nightmare meatless future where you're forced to eat 3D printed steaks. Yeah, I mean, if you thought those Epson colour cartridges were expensive, wait till you're shelling out for a Wagyu beef toner. Or even worse, you'll have to learn to eat salads. Imagine trying to tell Americans they can only eat salads. These guys have guns. It's a silly idea. And some worry this could all be a preamble to the bold relaunch of Trump steaks. And if so, guys, I just want to say I'm cool with that. I've actually got shares in the company.
Oh.
Trump steaks, the new Gulf of America. Fatty beef is what made your country great, America. You're number one in obesity for a reason. You are the United States of America. And as a gesture of goodwill, here in Australia, we're prepared to slaughter and export our most famous breakfast bovine. Pascoe just came out of retirement. I mean, I'm doing my bit for diplomacy here.
Oh. Wow.
Who knew?
Yeah. No idea. Now, to a man who knows all too well just how much Americans love their beef. Celebrity chef Curtis Stone is back from LA for the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. He's hosting the festival's signature event this Friday, the world's longest lunch for 1,800 people.
Would you please welcome Curtis Stone?
Hello, guys.
So nice to have you back home. Hey, we just heard that Trump might slap a big old tariff on Aussie beef. Do you reckon you could talk him around?
I don't think I could talk. I don't think anyone can talk him around. But I hope he doesn't, because I have a butcher shop, and you know, we sell a lot of Aussie beef. So
yeah. Oh God, we've got to sort this out then.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
this
right.
is important. Do you think steak is the way to someone's heart, though? Do you think you could, we could trick people with steak?
Trick people?
Well, not trick, just get what you want for the
you can get what you want.
for the world of beef.
Look at me. I've been tricking people my whole life with steak. Absolutely. I mean, a good steak makes everyone happy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just beef, though, and steak. It's meat pies. So
Right.
you are selling meat pies to the Americans. I want to know how this goes. What do they make of them?
My dad thinks it's hilarious. He's like, mate, you've worked all over the world for the best chefs, and now you sell sausage rolls for a living.
This looks good, though. This is amazing.
Yeah, so this is a brand new, we call it the Pie Room, and we make all sorts of incredible pies. They absolutely love them. It's taken a while for them to get their head around it, but I think what we do differently is we also make sweet pies that the Americans know and love. So they come in expecting that, and then they explore the savoury pies that we make as well.
And then you're like,
and
have a
we
look
trick
at this.
them. See, trick them with steak.
That's how it works. So they don't do savoury pies at all?
No, not really. They do a chicken pot pie, but that's more a chicken stew with a bit of puff pastry over the top. So.
And then because I know, in America you see those signs, 72 flavours of pie. Not one of them is savoury.
No, they're all sweet. They're all fruit pies.
Were they freaked out initially when you were offering up a meat pie?
Yeah, they were pretty surprised. So we pushed it. We did a rabbit pie, and we did an oxtail pie, and a beef shin pie. So we had all sorts of stuff, and I think that was sort of made it even more interesting for them.
Do you show them how to eat the pie? How do you eat the pie? Do you put
peel the lid off?
Yeah, or you get the sauce thing and you'd put a hole in it, fill it with sauce. Are you showing
That's a good strategy. Well, yeah, we had to, because quite often we'd see they just grab a spoon and go straight through the top, and we're like,
sounds like a tub.
No, that's not how you
I
eat
feel
it.
sick.
Or people would say, I'll get some sausage rolls, and I'd be like, hot or cold? And they'd say cold, and then I'd see them take a bite as they walk out. I'm like, I mean, are you going to eat it now, or are you going to take it home?
Right, that's entrapment. That's to trick them into eating a cold sausage roll.
No, we want them to eat it hot, so they come back for some tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, this lunch you're doing,
Yes.
1,800 people.
Right.
You seem extremely relaxed.
Very relaxed.
I'm suspicious because I cook for 6 people minimum every night in our house. Why are you like this at the prospect of cooking for 1,800?
Look, that's what I do. We have an event business both here and in the States. We just did 1,000 the week before I came, and then we do 1,800 here for the world's longest lunch. It's a real honour to be a part of it. I mean, the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival is so much fun, and this is the iconic long lunch. And yes, I'm not going to lie, it's stressful thinking about how you're going to pull that off, but we'll set up satellite kitchens all the way along the giant table, so we'll have lots of different kitchens. So we sort of break up that 1,800 into 180, and we have 10.
That's not helping.
No,
We've discussed this before. I use your steak tips, your steak recipe, and it works brilliantly. But when I make 4 for my family, I can't get them all out so that they're hot at once. How do you do it? How do you feed 100 people and make it hot at once?
You have to be very organised.
Yeah.
We're going to try and drop this lunch within 15 minutes. Too.
What?
So
wow.
From the first person that gets a plate to the last person, we're going to aim for 15 minutes, which is a challenge. But at the end of the day, you just need a great system. You need to be super happy with the quality of the food ahead of time. You've got to make sure it's hot and make sure it's delicious. And cross your fingers for me, ladies and gentlemen.
So what I got is make sure it's hot. Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Cross your fingers.
I forgot about that. The Melbourne Food and Wine Festival kicks off this Friday for 10 days. For full details and all ticket sales, head to our website. Would you please thank Curtis Stone?
More project right after this.
Project. She's a girl that just wants to have fun. And Aussie TV first, we are chatting to 80s pop sensation Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, that's pretty
so exciting.
Guys, this morning, Victorian Liberal MP Matthew Guy was chatting to reporters when they ditched him because his colleague Nick McGowan turned up looking, and I'm not just making this up, wait till you see it, looked like he'd just been kicked out of his house.
Will the Liberal Party and the coalition back the bail reforms? Do you think that it can get done this week?
Oh, who's better than me? You're all running on.
Good morning. Pretty picture.
Poor bloke spent his days in Parliament on the backbench. Apparently his nights on the couch. It's no good. Luckily, Guy Smiley is what I'm calling him. No one else is. But he did not take it personally at all.
I know. Who'd you run off to? That's it. I'm not giving any more grabs to Channel 10.
Oh, no more to go. I was really upset. I was looking forward to seeing him on Have You Been Paying Attention? I guess now we never will.
Yes,
what do you do?
Takes one to know one, hey, Sam?
Absolutely.
You know the look of a man who's been sent to the doghouse?
Oh, I mean, I haven't been sent there. I moved in.
Well, up next, it's a world-class comedian who has crossed land and sea to visit us lot at the desk.
Sara Pascoe is one of the UK's very best comics.
They don't do a safety announcement in business class. Somebody just hands you a glass of champagne and says, your money will save you.
She's earned a global audience poking fun at the complexities and contradictions of the world we live in.
Yoga has changed my life. It's brilliant. Yoga is my new drug. My old drug was drugs.
What's more, she's the author of 3 books, host of a much-loved literary podcast, and a legend of the panel show.
As a child, I once secretly cashed my mum's family allowance and used the money to buy a cat.
Now, Sarah's back in Australia and ready to take the laughs right around the country.
Would you please welcome Sara Pascoe? Now, I'm supposed to ask you about your yoga, but I want to ask about your pants and your earrings. Can you stand up and show everyone at home what you're wearing?
Where I come from, pants is knickers.
It's not
How do you know that's not what she's after?
I'm just checking before I showed her.
Okay, fair enough.
Your trousers,
got some
jeans?
snazzy trousers.
And your earrings?
Thank you.
They're sending a very strong message to everyone at home.
Yeah, this is just in case anyone's watching going, she looks a lot worse now than in her clips. I've had 2 children in 2 years in my 40s.
But showing off your pants, you also got to show off your yoga moves.
That's
so
it.
It's perfect.
What's this one called then?
Flexible.
Now, your show, you're out here touring your new show, and I'm fascinated by the description of the show. I'm going to read it here. This is it. Sara Pascoe is a comedian and her children don't sleep and her kitchen won't clean itself and her husband doesn't want to be in it. Now, that's a lot for 1 hour. Can you unpack it all?
Right, yeah. So my husband is also a performer. He's a very shy, private person. When we met, he started dating, he said, please don't put me in your comedy.
Oh.
I've tried so hard to respect that until recently, where I said I might get it off my chest, actually, a little bit on stage. That's essentially what I'm doing. The kitchen's still messy. I've just left it in London. And my children still don't sleep through, either of them. I've got a 3-year-old who still doesn't sleep through.
Well, I hope you left them in London as well. With him.
That would be illegal.
You know, you've said something I've never heard another comedian say, which is that having children made you better at stand-up.
It did, actually. I'll tell you for why. I used to have a thing when I went on stage and have a click and I would be in show business mode.
Right.
And I don't have that anymore. I sort of shuffle on as a sort of downtrodden. No, but actually what it means is I don't get this rush, but I also don't have a crash afterwards. I'm sort of in the same state now all the time, and I think I'm more present on stage and more myself.
Wow. So you just are stand-up.
Wow.
I am stand-up.
Yeah, wow.
I know, but with jokes, it is funny.
Yeah.
You don't just stand there and say,
It's like,
laugh at
guys, this is who I am
Yeah.
now. This is me.
And you don't. Also, we've spoken about your TV catalogue, huge gigs, but a small gig that you did is one that I'm very interested in.
Oh.
Tell me about the time you did stand up at Hugh Grant's birthday.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I know that sounds like an incredible name drop, doesn't it?
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
So I did ruined Hugh Grant's birthday party.
Oh.
It was a trick. Every year, his friends. He doesn't like his birthday. Lots of people don't like their birthday. His friends organise every year a party that he will not enjoy. With a different theme, and they wanted me to do half an hour of feminist comedy. When apparently he wasn't into feminism at the time. Yes, and that's what I did for cash in an envelope.
Yeah.
At his birthday party, and he was the only person sitting down by himself on a chair. It is one of my weirdest gigs.
So he was the only person in the seat?
Yeah, so everyone else is just sort of standing around the dance floor. They've turned the music off. Like, I really have ruined a party. Yeah.
So how did it...
Yeah, what was the review?
Well, he did try very hard to look like he was enjoying it, but he's not a very good actor. So everyone can sort of tell, yeah.
Did any jokes land?
Oh, no, everyone else was laughing at how much he wasn't enjoying it.
right.
Okay, so it should have been much worse than it was. I got away with it, as they say.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
Tough crowd.
That's a
I've
long
got
half hour.
Yeah.
Oh, it was long.
That's an amazing story. Now, your husband, who you just mentioned before, Steen, a great Australian comedian.
Yes.
A lot of people would know him from The Office.
Yes.
The Australian version of it. If you don't know him, I think we've got a clip of
There he
him
is.
right here. This is him here. No?
Hi there, my name's Steen Voskopoulos and I'm from Australia and I've got some shows coming up at the Soho Theatre, 6th till the 8th of March, 6:45, because my wife needs me home to take care with the kids.
I know that was promoting a London show, but that is very offensive to us Australians.
We call trousers pants.
Oh my God! Wow,
I'm a native speaker.
Do you have more Australian references in your show now because of Steen?
Not really, because you don't want to do any of the cliched things. And I think, Australia is a really vibrant, exciting place, and the stereotypes are a bit boring, aren't they? Don't you think? They're kind of fun.
You really sold that like Hugh Grant. Tickets to see Sarah right across the country are on sale right now. All the information is on our website. Would you please thank Sara Pascoe?